Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to day 51 of Spiritual Healthcare. And also, it's Mother's Day, in case anybody just forgot. This might be your morning reminder to, go phone your mom or something like that. It is good to be here, though. And we have got we've got a great half hour here ahead of us that I'm really excited about because we're going to be talking about not only women in parapsychology, but moving forward as women throughout this next phase of our experience with the pandemic, how guys can support that and what that looks like within the world of the paranormal as well as just within our lives in general. So I am excited to see everyone this morning. Good morning, Eric and Patricia. Good morning, guys. It's always so great to see everybody in the morning. I am like, yeah, it's crazy. I hope you guys have thought about some way to either celebrate or something like that. And I'm going to be talking about what to do if you can't celebrate that day also. So we're going to chat about a bunch of things today and as I say, talk about some of the huge names in parapsychology that have been women over the years. There's been tons, but it's such a male dominated field. It's such a huge male-dominated field. It's crazy. So you've got to kind of dig for some of the influential female researchers in the field for sure. Good morning, Andy and Kaz and Terry. Nice to see you guys. Andy is the AE Soar is the one of the editors of the amazing Haunted magazine that I write for every few months, and they are incredible. The new issue is coming out. The new issue is on its way. So if you guys haven't ordered that, Haunted magazine is go to haunteddigitalmagazine.com and you guys can check that out because it's such a great magazine. I love it's such a privilege to write for it every issue. It's so cool. Good morning, Will and Terry. Nice to see you guys. Nice to see everybody. Yeah, it's a happy Mother's Day to everybody. Whether either you've got a mom that you're celebrating or you are a mom or whatever that is for you. I'm a snake mom, so I consider that counts. That counts. Yeah, and happy Mother's Day to all the snake parents out there as well, because there's lots of those. There's lots and lots of those, especially in my friend group. There's so many people that are snake moms, and reptile moms and furry moms and all that kind of stuff. So welcome. It's funny because in the paranormal world, talking about females and women investigators and things like that, it's just not talked about. And we have a bad habit sometimes of demeaning or diminishing those roles within our communities, within the scientific field, and all of that. It's really interesting to see how people work and play those roles and frame research and things like that coming from women versus men. It's really intriguing. But women have this incredible intuitive ability, and oftentimes we end up really working against one another. We really work against one another, and it's not a good habit to get into, but I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Good morning, Marge. It's nice to see you this morning. It's funny how when it comes to women, especially as a business owner myself, working with other women and things like that, the amount of conflict that can end up happening. It's very interesting. And part of the reason for this, and anybody that's had an investigative team over the years and whatnot, or has had these kinds of interactions, what they've probably noticed is that there tends to be a very high level of ego and competition. And we think about this in terms of men a lot. We think about this that that's a male thing, that there's ego, that there's a lot of testosterone and bashing and stuff like that. But it's interesting how nasty as hell women can be to each other. like really underhanded crap, man. Like it's unbelievable. A lot of jockeying for position and whatnot, and conflict and fighting and that kind of thing. And I've fired a number of people for this problem over the years, which has been very frustrating, because I'm one of these people. I very much believe that women should support each other and help move one another forward, and if you actually have a proper circle of people who are who can put that ego down and stop working from that place of lack enough to do that, you can end up having this really, a really good community. But women typically don't do that. They don't share a space well either. That's the other thing. So why is that? What is going on? I've had cases over the years where we've had groups of women and things like that in the general environment, all living in the same loft building, all sorts of things like that, and having them have extremely powerful intuitive and psychic connections as well. There's been cases where a number of women get together and they're good friends and things like that, and then everything just starts to line up for them and they start manifesting stuff and all sorts of crazy things. So it's interesting because women have got this ability to be so incredibly tuned in, intuitive, nurturing, all of these things, and yet we flip it against each other. And it's not a good. Instead of coming together, we flip it. So what is it that creates that? And to understand it, I think in my observation, we have to take a look at how we are raising our kids, how we are raising our daughters, and how we are introducing them into the overall environment and into the world. This lack-based mentality that there's going to be less of something for somebody else. Like, for example, work is a big one. Work is a really big one, because what we end up seeing is that these people will they'll see another woman get a job or promotion that they want, or something that they're aiming for, and sometimes they don't even bloody want it. I don't know if you guys have had this happen, but it's like sometimes they don't even damn well want it, but just because you've got it, they end up deciding they're going to fight for it. It's really interesting. And when we start to look at this dynamic that we get going, this lack-based thinking, and we look at how we raise our kids, that, girls won't get enough, they have lesser pay, they've got to fight their way through the world. We usually don't teach girls about things like abundance. We tend to look back on our history a lot and realize that there was struggle there, so there needs to be struggle now. There's a lot of things that we push forward in our girls that becomes a really toxic dynamic. So when they start to see other girls getting something that they really want, like a job, promotion, money, whatever, then there's this rile up, there's this fight. And there's sabotage, and there's underhandedness, and there's all sorts of things. We don't stay in our integrity, and it's really not good. There's been phenomenal women over the years, phenomenal women in the parapsychology field. Nancy Zingroni, who's a good friend of mine, she is, just pioneering in so many ways. Eileen Garrett, who was an incredible medium, and of course there's the Eileen Garrett Library now. Lizette Coley, who is her daughter, is the president of the Parapsychology Foundation. Julia Mossbridge, Julie Bichelle, Christine Simmons-Moore, Leonora Piper, the Fox sisters. There's been so many women within the field of parapsychology. And what's interesting is that that work that they've done often does not get recognized in the same way that people like Frederick Myers or Podmore or other people like that have been acknowledged in the field. There's this interesting standard in science where those names aren't often pushed to the forefront in the same way that we know the names of the guys. And as I say, granted, parapsychology is predominantly a male industry. It just is. It's one of those fields that is just predominantly male based. But as women, this ends up kind of sending a message. It really does kind of send a message where we start to think that there is some sort of competition that's going on, that we have to push our way forward and make all of these demands and all of that kind of thing. And it really, really disempowers who we are. We forget about who we are and what that is. So how do we do this? How do we take the position that we're in and move forward, whether we're in parapsychology, whether it be in your life, whatever, how do we navigate this and move forward? So I want to offer you guys a few things today. And one of the first things is knowing how to love you first. Women are just like ridiculous nurturers. Like that's what we do. That's what Mother's Day is about, right? It's about being able to nurture kids and, who who the kids are and who they've become and all of that kind of thing. But what are you doing to love yourself first? We have to remember that loving ourselves issues the invitation to love us back. It really does. It puts the invitation out there to love us back. And people won't value us. They will not value us if we do not love ourselves. They just won't. They won't get that from us. We can't bring that back. We can't bring that energy back to us. Women have a nasty ability to act from a place of hurt without the place of awareness. Part of the thing I think with women is that we tend to base our reactions often from a very emotional place, which in some ways can be a really good thing, but we have to be really careful about that, because when we're acting from a place of disconnection, then we have the tendency to start to become real nasty. And the backstabbing starts, and the nastiness starts, and the name calling, and then we fall out of that integrity. And we have to be very careful, because if we can sit in our center and we know who we are, if you know who you are, then you can be able to sit back in what I refer to as our own nobility, our own being able to sit back and observe the situation, and stay in our integrity. This whole business about going behind people's backs, trying to jockey for position and manipulate other people in terms of, trying to put information forward and things like that through the guise of other people, not speaking our truth. All of that we're falling out of integrity. You fall out of integrity with who you are, and it will not end well. But we do this all the time, and often it's because we really fall out of a lack of purpose. And when we can't see a purpose, when we can't see what we're moving towards, when we can't see that, when we fall out of the lack of purpose, then that becomes a big, big problem. Our integrity, our nobility, and our direction in our world really does become a guiding point as to what it is that we need to, or I guess from the point that we need to act on. It's something that's important. The other thing is that we really have to start being okay with you. Be okay with you. Are you okay with who you are? Most women that I've had this conversation with, this is interesting, most women that I've had this conversation with are not okay. They're not okay. The people that have caused me the most trouble are not okay. They're not stable with who they are. And we've talked about this in spiritual healthcare a lot when it's come to hauntings, because when it comes to things like hauntings and, being able to stand in our truth, own our integrity, and move forward to deal with hauntings from that position, most women have a really, really hard time with being able to look at themselves and say, no, I'm okay with what I see. I might want to change a few things. I might be working on a few things, but I'm okay with the person that's looking back at me in the mirror. And what's fascinating is that a lot of women can't even look themselves in the mirror. And it's a place in society that we've come to where, we have to start looking at building up the self-esteem of some of the people around us. What the hell are we doing? What are we doing as women? We're going behind each other's backs and snarking and, trying to get other people to say shit for us and, all sorts of stuff. And it's absolutely crazy. And it's amazing the lengths. And I'm sure some of you guys have had this happen to before as well. I saw this in school quite frequently, especially with kids of that age, but I see it with adults just as much. Where they will literally go behind other people's backs and, start to maneuver people to try and, flip them against you and all sorts of crazy. And let me tell you, when you see that coming, cross the damn street, because you don't need to be dealing with that. So we have to be aware of this. We also have to be aware of the fact that when it comes to how we create our reality, there is no competition. There's no competition. And it doesn't matter whether you're dealing with the arts. It doesn't matter whether you're dealing with, other people. It doesn't matter whether you're dealing with a job, maybe another company, competing company, all of that. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, there is no competition because you get to choose. You get to choose. Collect the data, collect the information, and make a choice. But stand in integrity while you're making the choice. Own it. Just own it. And, we see this translate into the paranormal so frequently because when we start to take a look at, all of this phenomenon and the consequences that it can have on families, the questions that it draws to us when it comes to, how we're going to move forward, how we're going to interact with other people, all of these different things. It draws that all into the forefront so that we can turn around and begin to deal with how we are responding to one another. And what's interesting is that some women even have this in between mother-daughter. In between mother-daughter, this can happen. Competition. So what do we do about this? How do we move forward and deal with these people in our lives that might not even be conscious they're doing this, to be honest. Some of them aren't that aware. I had a great conversation with my friend Patricia this morning, and what we realized, we sort of hashed this around for a while. And what we realized was that the key to all of this, that connects all of this together, is forgiveness. It's forgiveness. And I'm not talking about the type of forgiveness that's okay, you're right, that's fine, everything's good, I condone what you did type of forgiveness. That is not forgiveness. That is not forgiveness. That is not having a voice. Okay, there's a big difference. But the ability to stop the competition, to stop the convincing, to stop the constant perpetuation of this momentum and this energy. Forgiveness. And, it's funny because sometimes you just have to be able to take a step back and go, okay, well, wait a minute. Maybe they just have no clue. Maybe they just have no clue. Maybe they just dumb. Sometimes it is that simple. Sometimes you just have to say, you know what? That's okay. Maybe you're just not that smart. That's all right. But I don't have to participate in this event and this behavior, however you have to frame it. But be able to say, you know what, that's okay. You can hold that point of view, but then turn around and be able to let that go. Be able to say, you know what, I don't have to agree with you. I don't have to agree with you. I don't have to like what you've done, but I don't have to justify my position to you in order to move this, to move my experience forward. You can have that position. You can do that. That's fine, but I don't have to be in agreement with you to be okay. And you don't have to have my agreement in order to be okay. This can just remain as it is. And forgive that. Forgiving love. Forgive that. And be able to do that. You're not doing it for them. And sometimes especially on days like Mother's Day and stuff like that, a lot of people where their gripes are, oftentimes, especially with women, usually end up starting with their parents, with their mother. They begin to look at, on days like this, they begin to look at their mother and go, you weren't there for me, you weren't this, you weren't that. Shame on you, you made me feel worthless, whatever it is, whatever that argument is for you. But to be able to then turn around and be, you don't have to be okay with their behavior. You really don't. There are women in my life, I am not okay with their behavior. I'm just not, but I don't have to participate in it either. I don't have to engage that. I don't have to fight for my position. I don't have to jockey for my position. I know who I am, and I know I have the ability to be able to sit in my own worth, and just not engage, just disengage. We don't have to have this nasty backbiting back and forth. It's funny because, often there's been a number of times where I've had people over the years who have, they would complain, like women will complain that, that person's not messaging me enough. Well, that person's not doing this or that, or not doing, whatever. I hear this great back and forth between mothers and daughters often. And the phone works 2 damn ways. Messenger works 2 damn ways. You pick up the phone. You don't have to be the one You don't have to be the one. It comes back to what we were saying at the beginning. Love yourself first. Love yourself first. And if they want to join you and meet you in that space, then let them do that. Let them come to you. Let them do that. But you don't have to always be the one. It's not your job to fix all this. Sit in your worth. Sit in your worth. Because we're not taught that as women and as girls, and we see this sort of self-esteem epidemic that goes on in society. And it's funny because when I deal with clients, and I'm teaching them things like that assertiveness when they're dealing with negative entities and things like that, when I'm teaching them that to have a voice, to find that voice with the spiritual stuff, there's oftentimes where they will struggle. They really do struggle because it's a new concept. It's just new. We just don't have those teachings and those lessons that are as readily available as they should be. And there's these incredible people and teachers out there that are they're working with individuals. I mean, we've been reading a lot of them. People like Iyanla Vanzant and Eckhart Tolle. We've been reading about all of this, within spiritual healthcare and other sources and whatever. But, in order to practice it, we really do need to exercise those muscles and be okay with them having an opinion that they just might not like you. And that's fine. Be able to sit in that and just be okay. Love yourself first. Because as I say, when you issue the invitation, because you've loved yourself, the right people will show up and the right phenomenon will show up to show you that message has been answered. The cool thing about the paranormal, which I love so much, is that it is such a fantastic indicator of who we are and where we sit. And when we give that over, when we surrender that to non-physical, that ability to just trust that it will bring to us the encounters, whether it be with spirits, whether it be with people, whether it be with work, whatever, when we trust it to bring that back to us, oh my God, it will bend over backwards. It will bend over backwards so that you can experience it. It's just the coolest thing. So today, for your to-do, this is Mother's Day, and you guys need to celebrate it. But that celebrating might be forgiveness. Maybe that celebrating is forgiveness. And maybe that forgiveness needs to start with you. Maybe it starts with, I forgive myself. And yeah, Marge is saying she's going to be 61 this year. She's been loving me for the past 3 years. Long story, but better late than never. Absolutely. It is absolutely better late than never. And you know what? The last 3 years, man, congratulations. Do it. Do that, because that is, it's such a powerful turnaround. And you're right. There is absolutely no time limit on this. Okay, you might not figure this out till you're 85. It might, it's true. A lot of people don't, especially some of the older generations, that are in their 70s, 80s, 90s right now, who were always taught that yes, you should be submissive, you should be seen and not heard, you shouldn't have a voice, women shouldn't have these options, all of these things. This is crucial. This is crucial. We are in a time period now where, the importance of our voice, the importance of understanding you matter is absolutely a launching point for how this world is going to move forward. And we can't be neglecting who we are. We just can't. So for today, find the forgiveness, figure out what part of that relationship that you need to work on forgiving love to. And see where you come out at the end of it. It is life-giving to let that go, because I guarantee you, a lot of these people who you're mad at, they don't care. They don't care. Literally, the only one that's miserable is you. A lot of these people, they're so narcissistic. They just, they're so in their own heads about it. They probably haven't thought of you for the last 10 years. So you may as well forgive them. You may as well. So for reading today, because I thought this was so, I thought it was important to be reading from a woman about women, from Faith in the Valley by Iyanla Vanzant. And For all of the guys watching today, also, this is a crucial insight into women, you guys. This is a thing. So, all right. So check this out. What is this business of womanhood? It is more than softness, beauty, motherhood, and girlfriends. Is it less than manhood? The same as manhood? And who said so? How do you know? What were your models of womanhood? Were they harsh, cruel, unheard, tired, abused? What images of womanhood do you hold, or do you aspire to? Every morning you wake up a woman. What does it look like? How does it feel? Do you like it? Are you afraid of it? What is this business of womanhood? Is it sold? Can it be bought? Where do you find it? How do you keep it? Increase it? Was it given to you? Did you ask for it? Is it a blessing or a curse? What is this business of womanhood? Do you work on it? Play with it? Does it work on you? Does it wear you out? Do you nurture it? Embrace it? How? When? Why? What is this business of womanhood? And how close does it come to being a child of God, expressing the flesh from a feminine energy? So I love this reading. I love this reading because we have to start looking at ourselves that way. We are that extension of non-physical energy. We really are. And we play such a vastly important role in the world. And as we move forward into this new world, which will be new when this COVID thing is all over and done and so on and so forth, what it will look like, will greatly depend on so many women out there. We're seeing like these doctors that are on TV, they're health ministers and all of these people, all these women, prime ministers and all of these people who are leading the way. And we have to start to acknowledge that this really is who we are. This really is who we are. And, whether we're dealing with the paranormal, whether we're dealing with the crisis that we're in right now, or whether we're dealing with a conflict at home, in a relationship, whatever that is, we have to really begin to understand that as women, we cannot lose a voice. We really can't. So celebrate that today. Celebrate that, because even if you're not a mom, even if you're, even if maybe, your mom has passed away, whatever the situation is for you, we have the opportunity today to celebrate who we are, because at the core of who we are all mothers. We are all nurturing something. Maybe that baby is your new project. Maybe that baby is your new artistic project that you're putting forward. You're birthing a new company. Maybe you're birthing a brand new creation in the world that has nothing to do with children at all. What is it that you're contributing? Because you're birthing something. That's what women do. That's what we do. We have this really innate ability to create on this incredible level. And I'm telling you that when we move forward through this, that we will find, and we have the choice to find our voice or not. So that being said, we can't go into the afternoon without our health affirmations, because today is the day of all days that we have to be healthy and love ourselves enough to take the time to do that. So everybody take a breath. It is natural for my body to be well. Even if I don't know what to do in order to get better, my body does. I have trillions of cells with individual consciousness, and they know how to achieve individual balance. When this condition began, I didn't know what I know now. I don't need to understand the cause of this illness. I only have to gently, eventually release this illness. It doesn't matter how it got started, because it's reversing its course right now. And there's no hurry about any of this. My body knows what to do. Well-being is natural to me. My inner being is intricately aware of my physical body. And my cells are asking for what they need in order to thrive, and Source is answering those requests. I'm in very good hands. My only work is to relax and breathe. And I can do that easily. Everybody take a breath. Thank you all for this awesome morning of spiritual health care on Mother's Day. I hope you guys have an amazing Mother's Day, and putting that awesome energy out into the world. Have a wonderful time, and, open your windows, get that fresh spring air, and think about how you are embodying this and loving yourself and taking this forward, and be able to be okay with what you see back in the mirror, because it's so important. So I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Spiritual healthcare. If you guys are looking for past classes, remember entityseeker.ca, as well as youtube.com/entityseeker, and all the past classes are there. So I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Bye bye.